Welcome back. Alright, so 2 videos rapidly back to back. Now that I'm done talking about AEW, we're going to talk about the concert we went to 2 days ago, which ended up being a pretty long night.
My hair's all crooked. It's making my head look all lopsided.
It ended up being a longer night than we had expected, but we'll get to the aftermath. The concert, we got there in plenty of time. The Vogue's a small venue, comparatively speaking, to a lot of the other ones we've been to.
Yeah, it's not an arena, but we knew that.
Yeah.
We've been to different... So in old Vancouver, like downtown, there are different venues that they have different shows. So there's like the Vogue, the Orpheum, Commodore, and Queenie. And so we have been to different shows at a few of them. This is the first time that we have been there, though.
To the Vogue.
Yeah. We knew there wasn't parking in that area. Which is weird for all those places for shows. Why don't they have more parkades?
We'll get to the whole parking issue later.
But we knew to go early because of that.
But the first band that came out was Khemmis. I liked them. I thought they were good.
Of the opening bands, they were probably my favorite.
Each band had their own growliness to their vocals. It was definitely a growly concert.
Metal.
But I thought Khemmis was good. Spelled Khemmis. Really, I thought they were fun, and hopefully they get some momentum coming out of this tour. It's a long tour that they've got going that sort of meanders all over North America.
We were looking at the back of shirts to figure out they were going over here and then...
Yeah, and they're just doing like a loop all the way around and then right back kind of where they started. And yeah, so Khemmis was good. Enjoyed them. Then Whitechapel came out. They're heavy.
I have heard Whitechapel before, and I do like them. They were one I think I prefer not live. It was so loud. This was a really, really loud concert, and so it definitely made it difficult to hear.
I had my ears ringing pretty bad after this concert, and I did not have that after Rammstein. But being a
smaller venue, and we had floor, not seats, because they weren't seats, but we were
general
on floor,
admission.
So it might have been a little extra loud where we were.
Maybe. But I don't think it would have been that much quieter up top because the way that the building is built, like if you looked up at the
I did
ceiling,
I noticed it was kind of dirty
that's designed for all the audio, and it so it was a noisy show, but it was fun. Again, Whitechapel's not really my speed, but I did enjoy some of the beats of their songs, some of the guitar. This was right around where I noticed that every band member, every North American metal band, and I posted this on Facebook, has at least one member that looks like a pro wrestler. At least one that looks like either they look like a current professional wrestler or they look like one that should be a pro wrestler. So that was, but it was a good fun little concert with Whitechapel, and then they moved to Between the Buried and Me.
Which we've had a few people tell us.
And I get the hype.
Awesome.
I get the hype about Between the Buried and Me because they're unique. They're very different than anything else. Yeah. Do you know what it sort of reminded me of? At certain points, it felt like the lead singer was this really kind of wannabe cool college professor that's come up with this really cool new sound that he wants to show the kids. And that was kind of this vibe because there were so many different genres in their music. And there were parts of their songs I was like, I love this. And then it would go to the growly speed metal, and I'm like...
I don't like speed metal. How does this... No, I don't like speed metal. I also think the growling is silly, and when there's dual growling, it seems extra silly.
But somehow it worked. Like, somehow with them it worked, where they've got all this discordant sort of stuff, and it works. Of course the cat has to hit the bass, and I knew they would. That was Azrael. Maples moved on. She wanted to distract my last video. Now it's Azrael's turn. But yeah, it was different. Each song was long. They were if Tool was a speed metal band, I think this is what they would sound like. There was some really fun stuff. It would be interesting to see if they were a headliner in like a big stadium, what they would do, because it feels like they're a band that would want to do a big show of it.
Right.
But yeah, they were entertaining, and then of course Trivium, the main event, which is a band that we both listen to. Yvonne more than me, admittedly. They played, I think, 2 songs that I recognized. A lot of it was from albums I don't have and haven't really listened to. I listen to Ascendancy a lot, so I'm one of those people. Just Ascendancy. Well, I love Dying in Your Arms, which they didn't play, which I understand.
They weren't playing their most popular songs. They were
but
playing
also,
songs that they
wouldn't have
usually
fit in.
do on tour.
That would not have fit in.
So that's what that was.
Wouldn't have fit in with that set list.
I did still recognize a large portion of the songs, and again, it was so loud. Some of them, it was hard for me to even recognize the songs. We've been to a few concerts like that when it's just so loud. It can be hard to tell.
So, at any point in the concert, did the lead singers need to constantly stick his tongue out, become distracting, or make you want to giggle?
Yeah, I did.
At any point in time...
It was very, very frequent. That was kind of his thing.
Like, I can understand doing that a few times, but it was a lot. And I mean, if I ever see them live again, I'm going to do a count on how many times he sticks his tongue out and see if I reach 3 digits. Because over the hour and 15 minutes, it was a lot. Like, basically, if he wasn't the one singing and it was the guitarist that was doing the singing instead, his tongue was out. And sometimes for a while, I was like, this is odd. I mean, I understand it here and there, but it just seems odd. Like, doesn't that make his mouth dry? Isn't it harder to sing then? I know he had a drink behind him, but he wasn't drinking that often considering how much he was sticking his tongue out. And I wasn't really looking at anybody in particular when he did it. It was just sort of I have to do this.
To me, it looked like they did have photographers out in the crowd. Did you see that?
Yes,
there were photographers.
Does he have to have his tongue out for every picture they take of him?
Looked like he might have been doing that extra for the photographer. I don't know though.
It was a little bit distracting, mildly distracting. There was a lot of it. Which again, I thought was, and that's fine. And their performance was really good. Musically, they're fantastic. I loved the backdrop. The backdrop was fun, and the way that it completely changes color with the light that is being shone on it, that's fantastic. That was really well planned out. That was really nicely done. Obviously, in a small venue, you're not going to have fire. You're not going to have pyrotechnics. And I don't think Trivium's kind of... I can't think of seeing Trivium footage where they've ever used that kind of thing either. So I don't know that it would suit them so much.
No.
But yeah, it was a fun concert. Their set list was 13 songs, and again, if the concert started at 7, obviously there's changeovers between bands.
It wasn't too long between bands either, though.
It was done at 11:30, roughly 11:30, maybe quarter after 11. But they started playing at about 10 o'clock, so their set list was about an hour and 15 minutes. There was no extended period where they were off stage. There was no big encore. It is just, that's their set list, and then they're done. And it was great. I thought they were very engaging. Well, the lead singer was very engaging with the crowd.
Yeah.
Each band, I thought, did well. Although, between the Buried Me, there was one thing that he didn't do, the lead singer of that band didn't do. He didn't give shout-outs to the other bands.
I did notice that.
But they didn't play as many songs either. So maybe one of those things where, because they only had 5 epic songs, maybe it didn't cross his mind or he forgot.
There wasn't much talking either. You know how some bands, like, the lead singer especially, like, addresses the audience?
Because he had to show his brand new beats to his students.
Trivium did.
Yes.
Trivium addressed the audience many times. Like, almost between each song.
But when each song is an epic... You gotta kind of just go with the music, go with this flow, man, and it's just kind of like, you know.
You'll have to listen to them. Like,
they're different.
I did have
they're very different.
A recommendation for what songs specifically to listen to. My albums, and I did look those up. They remind me of, like, if Jethro Tull.
I was gonna say Pink Floyd.
A current band.
I was gonna say Pink Floyd, but yeah, Jethro Tull I can get there too.
And was heavier, like was more metal. Yeah. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
I really like Jethro Tull. Just for reference there, I do really like Jethro Tull. So that's kind of fun. But it reminds me of Jethro Tull. Kind of has a little bit of classic rock feel to it with metal.
And then there's
there's
keyboards that come in.
I didn't like the speed metal part and the growling, but you know.
But the keyboard stuff was fun, and the singer seems to have 2 different voices he can do that don't sound like the same person at all. So if I was just listening to an album, I would be pretty sure they had 2 different singers.
Trivium's the same.
Somewhat, but they do have 2 singers.
But the lead singer does sing
Kind of.
two
But I can still
two
tell
very
it's
different
him.
ways.
I can still tell it's him. But yeah, it was an enjoyable night, and then we came out.
Even for being on the floor. And
yeah,
I have not done a concert where I was on the floor since the early 2000s.
I haven't done it in a long time.
And I haven't done that for a very long time because, number one, I'm a girl. Number two, I'm 5'2".
Yeah, so during the
that
concert,
is a little bit of a problem.
During the concert, there were a lot of people coming. There was one girl pushed you right out of the way.
Like,
while
actually
saying excuse me.
That was weird.
Yeah, she pushed you while saying excuse me, and that was when I moved you in front of me. And so I had my hands on Yvonne's shoulders, and I had my elbows out a bit, so anytime somebody was bumping going by, they would hit me. And that way she could just enjoy the show, and I was the one getting hit.
He's on.
So,
so nice.
Well, the only benefit of doing the treadmill every day is that I've got a good lower body strength, and I can plant my feet. It's hard to move me when I've planted my feet.
I'm a weakling.
That's the only thing I have going for me.
All those tall boys like to come and stand right in front of me because I would be back a little bit so that I could kind of. And not only
that, they would step around you and right in front of you. They'd stop.
It's right here.
So I would just take her by the shoulders and move her over and give her my sight line because I usually have a pretty good sight line. At least. So yeah, being short and being on the floor is not a lot of fun. But for this concert, I mean, if we were seated, we wouldn't have been able to see anything. It was a much smaller venue, so it was okay. I wouldn't do it in an arena. No. I know I had the thought during the show
if you're all the way up at the front, you get pushed.
Yeah, I had the thought during the show of how would Rammstein have worked if we had been on the floor?
We would have... You'd have to be really far back, and then you wouldn't be able to see.
Yeah. Yeah, so that wouldn't have been as much fun.
They are higher up, but then you get pushed up. And luckily, we were on the other side of the mosh pit. We weren't on the mosh pit side. And did you see how it was getting really large? And like I was kind of watching them.
It got close.
Because those boys get all...
That was part of the reason, too, I wanted you standing in front of me.
I don't do that. I'm not big enough.
Just in case.
Those boys are like a foot taller than me.
There was a lot of energy. And the funny thing is that we went in, and I had mentioned how I hadn't been recognized in public the last few times we've been out. And then there were two people who came over to me and
the one I remembered, and we'd been to meetups. I do remember talking to him at meetups.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but that was fun. I always appreciate people coming over and talking to me. I thought that was fun. It was a great show. Really enjoyed it. And I don't know that I would go to Trivium again if I knew it was going to be a 4-hour-long concert. It's a maybe for me.
See, I thought it was fun, and to me it didn't seem as long. We've been to other small venue concerts where there's the several opening acts that ends up being long, and those end up feeling long. That one, to me, this one didn't feel as long.
Seether would have felt longer if we hadn't hung out with the Deads for a while.
That's true. Oh, their sound was awful. The balance, that one was one of the worst.
Well, Seether, the issue with Seether was that all of their songs kind of sounded the same because of the way they had the balance work.
Right. So I mean, though, of all the concerts we've been to a few with really
now she's mad at my hat.
Hi, baby.
She doesn't like hats. So, all right. You mad at hats, sweetie? I know.
This needs to be off your face.
She doesn't like hats. But then we came out after, and our van got broken into. We had it in a parkade on Seymour, and I mean, we knew it was a rough neighborhood to start with.
That was the worst smelling parkade I've ever been in. I didn't think it would be too bad, though, because they had like rental cars in it on a lower level.
Yeah. But that's clearly the level that's got the security. Our level, there really wasn't any.
I don't think it matters, because that security guard came by right after we found our van and just kind of did the,
Well, that sucks.
And walked away, and I looked at him. Is he really he's leaving now?
Yeah, that was it.
Because, like I said, he didn't even write anything down.
Like I said, I'm sure that happens all the time. I noticed glass on the ground when we were going out and when we were going back in, and then I realized that our window was out before we got to the van, and I was...
That's super fun at midnight when you have an hour-long drive home.
So
that's super cool.
Then we had to get garbage bags into the window for the drive home. I had to hold the garbage bags in place because they kept trying to get sucked out the window.
So we didn't have tuck tape.
We might have got home. We might have got home about an hour later than we had planned. we should have, which meant even less sleep that night. So that was fun. And then we were still up early the next day anyways.
Because we have children.
So yeah, that really does mean you can't sleep in. The topic of sleeping in isn't really a topic when you have kids.
No.
Especially when you have a little girl that has to come in every 5 minutes to tell you what she just did or what she's going to do.
Oh my gosh, she came in so early too.
I was going to go and do this, and then I was going to do... Why? Why are you telling... Just do it. I don't...
So many times a day. You don't have to tell me before you... Just go ahead. I don't need to know what you're going to do to your hair. What you're going to get for clothing.
And then today, this was kind of funny. I was coming out of my set, and there's a rabbit right at my feet. They're not supposed to be out. So that was Cinnabon coming to tell me my brothers and sisters are outside. And I'm in the house because the kids can't count to 6. So I picked her up, carried her outside.
I think so.
The funny thing is,
she got out,
as soon as she was out this door, she was fighting to get out of my arms because she realized, yes, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to be. So she knew they were already out there. I've never had her fight with me like that, going in or coming out. So that was kind of funny. She is the more friendly of all of our rabbits. Although I started having licorice back on my set. He really likes being in there too. So, but yeah, usually this is the room that Cinnabon hangs out in. And thankfully she doesn't chew cords, because if she did, I'd have a lot of problems that I don't have.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the concert was fun. It was an enjoyable experience. Our next concert is 3 Days Grace next month. That'll be at the Queenie.
I have a concert before that, though.
And yeah, she's going to Everclear.
All by myself.
I'm not. And there's hockey. There's a lot of hockey that night, so I don't have the Everclear option. I'm already taking a night off to go to 3 Days Grace when it's going to be really busy. So...
Because 3 Days Grace.
Yeah, I've seen 3 Days Grace before, and they're pretty good. So
fantastic.
Looking forward to that one. 3 Days Grace is another band that you're more into than I am.
I really, really like 3 Days Grace.
But
so.
You did go with me to Rammstein, a band that I'm more into than you are. So
I really like Rammstein, though. So
not like me.
Okay. All right.
I was almost in tears at almost every song when we were in LA, and I do the little happy dance and the little happy clap, and it's different. It's just so like it's gonna be great. Plus, we're gonna go see Violent Night as soon as that comes out, because Yvonne is so excited to watch Santa Claus beat people up. So we should have a review of that one soon enough too. Plus, we're almost done Stranger Things, so look for a review of Stranger Things on here, and we'll get into how ridiculous the show gets as it goes along. Goes from well-grounded, pretty fun to, ooh, and now we're out here. Wow, I even said to you, this isn't the same show. But again, we will talk about that some other time. So if you were at the Trivium concert, or if you've seen Trivium live, because they're touring all around North America, let me know your thoughts. And if you haven't seen them, they're a lot of fun. And the bands that opened up for them, all 3 of them, something a little different with each band, different feel. The ticket prices weren't bad. The price for merch has gone up. I think
they went up quite a bit.
I think that's because the Canadian dollar has dropped significantly. So if you're on the Canadian side, you're likely to be impacted in a way that American fans wouldn't be. I wouldn't think. But yeah, the t-shirts were $50. The hoodies were $120, which is a lot. Yeah. And again, I like Trivium. If it was Rammstein, I would have found the money, but with Trivium, I looked at those prices and went, I can't, I'm out. Again, for Rammstein, yeah, I've got a lot of Rammstein shirts now. I think I've got like 25 different Rammstein shirts now. I think it's 25. So, yeah, someday we'll have a wall collection behind me of Rammstein and this bandana that I've used on the wall here, and we'll just have Rammstein everything. I'll have a Rammstein channel where every day I talk about a different Rammstein song. I'm talking myself into it. That's a really good idea. I had thought about on this channel.
Spare time.
I had thought about on this channel doing videos before the concert where I was counting down my favorite Rammstein songs, and I could still review each of their albums. That's actually kind of a fun idea. So that may happen on this channel sooner rather than later, because I have a lot of t-shirts I can wear with those videos. But yeah, let me know your thoughts if you saw them live, and if you haven't and you're on the fence, you're getting your money's worth. You absolutely get your money's worth with this one. There were some people on the floor I saw wearing earplugs. If you have sensitive ears, I do highly recommend
earplugs. Or the headphones.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's something I would recommend unless you're cool with your ears ringing for a day or two and just asking people to repeat themselves. But there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.